Alright guys, I'm going to try to give you a quick 15-minute class on what we've been covering so that you're on the same page as the rest of us. So what you see here, the operating system is made into three parts, or has three general areas. The hardware, that's physical components, that part of the system. On the outside part you have the shell, outside you have the shell. That's the interface that you use to access the computer and make it do things. And the kernel is what translates what you tell it to do from the interface to that hardware. It's the middle ground there. This, for example, is a command line interface. This is what you're more likely used to, is a GUI, a graphical user interface. You're going to need to know command line because that's what Cisco uses. What's the purpose of an operating system? To use the hardware. Okay, that's not exactly a major event, but that needs to be said. But, okay, so we're opening up. To access your Cisco switches and routers now, you have two main ways to do it. One is the console port. It's a port on the back of the router or switch that you access with a special cable that allows you access to the system. The SSH and Telnet are pretty much the same thing, except SSH is encryption, it's secure, it has safety. The SSH Telnet is what you use to remotely access. Console is to physically access. You have access to the room, you go in with the console. And it's what you have to use for the initial configuration of any router or switch. The remote access part has not been configured yet. Actually, it's something you'll learn as part of this class. To use that remote access, you need a program such as PuTTY, Teraterm, or Secure CRT. I've used Teraterm, PuTTY myself. I don't know about CRT, I'm sure it's fine. That's more for, looks like Apple, and I think OS X Terminal is also for Apple. Not my area. Suggest you keep trying this, give this a try. There's one last port you see right here on the side, this aux port that we didn't talk about. The reason we didn't talk about it is because you're unlikely to ever see it. What you need to know is this is phone. If anybody talks about phone or you see anything about phone, it's the aux port. Other than that, it's a legacy item. You don't see them anymore except for very, very old ones. And considering how long these Cisco switches and routers will last, you may run across it, but probably not. I think nowadays either console or Telnet, they work pretty good. I suggest you watch this video. It'll talk a little bit about different modes. That's the permission level, you might think, or access areas of the switch and or router. Your primary command modes. User exec. See, it has a greater than sign that tells you which one it is. Privilege exec has a pound sign. Your prompt, the area of the cursor, where your cursor at, where you put input, is a hint to tell you which mode you're in. User exec mode is used as view only, typically. This allows you as a new guy to access it without getting into changing it, ability to change anything. Privilege exec, this is where you can start making changes to the system. This will talk about a third one, global config mode. Then they'll talk about a fourth one, which is interface/line configuration mode. Those are the four main configuration modes that you'll deal with. That's user exec, privilege exec, global configuration or global config, or interface configuration, interface/line config mode. And these are the prompts for that. Config line, config if, and then you have switch config pound for the global configuration. Again, watch the video, try to follow along. Now you have to navigate between these. Move up from user to privilege, type it enable. If you want to go back, type it disable. Hey, that's pretty nice. If you want to go to global configuration, type configuration terminal or config T for quick. To return to privilege exec mode, type exit. Exit allows you to go one step back. So if you're config T or global, you go type exit, you go to privilege. Type exit again, you go to user. Or you type disable to go from privilege to user. You should just use exit. If you're in line and type exit, you go back to config T. end is a little different. This one takes you straight to privileged exec mode. So it doesn't matter if you're in an interface one, you type that in, you go straight to switch T. There are some shortcuts you see here. I'll talk a little bit more of them later, but be aware of them. AKA, they're on the test. Here's what you'll see. The prompt tells you switch, and with the greater than sign tells you are in user exec mode. Next is the command. You need to have a space because you need a space between the command you're issuing and that keyword argument, or what you're telling that command is going to be. In this case, the command is to ping, and this wants you to ping this. In this case, this command is to show, and they want you to show IP protocols. We'll learn more about that. Syntax. Yeah, take a look at this. You'll get used to it after doing it a few times. I'm going to issue a cheat sheet for the commands. I'll post it into the files, and I'll let you guys know in an email later too as well. iOS help features. Watch the video. It's very nice. It tells you there is a help function, question mark. So it'll tell you what commands you can do. It tells you what versions of command. Watch the video. This will be very useful for you. Again, that giant list of shortcuts. It's quite huge. I don't personally use too many of them, but it is nice to learn a few and then grow on them. Shortcut video if you want. I believe this is one of the this is one of the packet traces I had you do. Want you to do. Don't do this. Device name. You need to name your device. Your computer has a name, your phone has a name, your device has a name. You kind of want to name it location. Why? Because you can get to it network-wise, and sometimes finding where they're at is kind of hard. I've been to places where they know the router and switches exist, and I'm not sure where they're at. Kind of freaky, isn't it? How do you put that name in there? Go to configuration terminal mode. Go from user exec to privilege mode to configuration terminal, then type in host name and whatever you're going to use. Here's the process, the steps they want you. Get rid of it, just type in no host name. It's nice. Before we go on, there is guidelines for choosing name. Letter, numbers, no spaces, you can only use dashes. Letter, number, and dashes less than 64. You need to know that. It's on the test. Securing. Access. You need passwords on stuff. Passwords are good. Again, you'll do that. Here's how you put the passwords in. Enable. Literally, it's a straight walkthrough. Straight walkthrough on what you need to know. Again, for user exec passwords. These two, these VTY and console. See, VTY, console. This is your console port I told you about earlier to access it. You need a password on that so you can access the device. It's like your login password to your PC. This VTY is the same thing, but this is the remote connection. Very, very important. If you configure it for remote access, you have a password on that. Otherwise, anybody can get in. This is go from user exec to privilege exec. Why might that be? The exact answer would be, like, user mode is also known as view-only mode. You can view and look at things. So if you're a new guy, they want you to be able to see the configuration. They don't trust you to make any changes to it. Sorry, it just happens to be being new. So have a second password they won't tell you. Encrypt passwords. Show you all. Service password encryption. Know that one. It takes any password that's not been encrypted and encrypts it in the running configuration files that you need to know. Make a banner. This is the message of the day. Watch the video. Do it. And this is an example of syntax checker. You don't need to know that. Saving running configuration files. Copy running configuration start configuration. Shortcut is copy run start. You make use of that. Running configuration is what you are doing. Startup is what will be happening once you reboot the machine. Unlike Windows, the changes you make do not automatically save. You have to manually save it. So copy run start is your friend when you are certain you want to save which changes you made. Otherwise, when there is a power outage, it will be gone. Also, with your packet tracers, if you hit save without doing copy run start, it's not there. So you may say you screwed up the running configuration, but you still the startup configuration is still good. Type in reload. Now reload the configuration file. Yay! Saved. You can also get rid of it. Be careful about that. You can put these into text files. This is very important for when you do a lot of them, or you have a complex thing to do. You can actually say what you type in and then use it to output. This one here is to make the initial changes we made. Not saving configurations, but the host name and things like that we just talked about. Alright, next. IP addresses. There's a lot more to this, but this is what you need to know. IP address, subnet mask, and default gateway. This is the address. This is the door out of what your network is. And this breaks down what your address is between certain parts. Such as your network location, your building location, and then your room location or apartment location. That'd be an example. Good example. Interfaces and ports. Everything, one of these things is the ports. Nice thing about IP addresses, none of this really matters. You can use Wi-Fi, fiber, copper. This is dealt with different technology, different programming. This is how you change it on your computer. If you want to go to your computer, this is where you go to actually change it. Your computer is most likely set up with automatic. We will learn how to do this manually and dynamically later on. Automatic configuration, you don't see anything in there. But you can go to your command prompt, which is basically go to run, type in cmd, and type in ipconfig, and it'll tell you where address is. You cannot change it from here, but you can look at it. In order to change it, you have to go to here. Internet Protocol version 4, properties. SVI. Now we talked about you want to put an IP address on that router or device so you can access it remotely. This talks you through it. Note that the default is VLAN 1. Hint, hint, hint. Note that if it's automatically turned off, so you need to type in no shutdown to turn it on. Hint, hint, hint. Again, talks about the process of going through it. Type in interface VLAN 1. That's you're accessing that interface mode. Type in IP address, the IP address, and the subnet mask you want to turn it on. You learn about what the differences are later on. Don't worry about it. Just know that you know it. This right here is what you want you to do as well. Note, each machine has to have a different IP address. In this case, they will make a mistake in here and they'll tell you to put in the same IP address for all your devices. Just go 1, 2, 3, 4 on that last part. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And to check it, ipconfig or show IP brief. This is on your computer, this is on your router, or switch, sorry. And router works too. And ping is end-to-end connectivity. It will tell you whether or not it's receiving a signal. It will go out there and it'll come back. It'll say a reply. And there you go. Now, I expect you to read all this on your own. You don't have to, in depth and detail, but this is kind of a quick class, just to give you the highlights. I'll post this video as well, and good luck.